Alright, so it is time for your round one playoff predictions brought to you by the only Matthew in our league. So I'm Matthew of the Matthew Sand Slashes, of course. We've had a really good regular season. 12 very competitive teams, as you can see. Most draft leagues that I've seen have had one team go undefeated or at least like 10-1. We only had two teams even win 9 games. Nobody went 11-0. Nobody went 0-11. Nobody even went 1-10. So really competitive league. And yeah, but at the end of the day, we have to say goodbye to the 4 very strong teams that did not finish in the top 8. It's time to say hello to our playoff matches. So we're going to analyze, starting with my match. So number 1 versus number 8. Normally you see number 1 versus number 8, and you're like, okay, pretty good chance that the number 1 seed wins. However, if you know this league, of course, last year our number 1 seed was taken out in a big upset by the number 8. Not because the number 1 played poorly, the number 8 played out of his mind. It was a real coming out party for Ben and Cali Camera upstream. This season, the number 8 actually beat the number 1, so that'll be really exciting to see the rematch. So, if you look at the rosters, this is why I hate the number 8 team. Not the coach, of course. I just hate the team because it's almost impossible to deal with. So first we got Hatterene, which just makes life extremely difficult. G-Max Hatterene, of course. G-Max Lapras, of course. So right there you've got the Trick Room. Offense Hatterene is totally a thing. You got Riolu. So that is Trick Room, Copycat, like Trick Room for Max Guard, Copycat shenanigans. Riolu can easily proc Lapras' weakness policy if he runs that. Lapras, of course, sets Aurora Veil for the team. It's ridiculous. Carving, Spunstery shenanigans. It's another Trick Room setter. Body Press Carving with Iron Defense is really hard to break if you don't have special damage. Then you got Regigigas plus Normal Wheezing. Normal Wheezing, I think, is tougher to deal with in draft because it has one fewer weakness. And Wheezing Gigas is just really hard to deal with at the best of times. And to have to do that, while dealing with completely different threats is really hard. For instance, like if you go with a fast mode, then that just kills you if he goes Trick Room. Wheezing also works pretty nicely with the rest of this team because like Delmaze doesn't need its ability. Lapras doesn't need its ability. Even Hatterene doesn't need its ability. So this is pretty cool for them. Then you got Pincurchin, Raichu, and what happened in a week 8 match, I want to say, is I over-prepped for Wheezing Gigas. I was so ready for Wheezing Gigas, crushed it. Was so ready for Hatterene, was so ready for Lapras, and I had basically nothing for Alolan Raichu plus Pincurchin other than my Alolan Duck Trio. His Raichu, of course, ran Surf, and that was that. So Raichu had so many good moves. And so Raichu Pincurchin is just really difficult to deal with. And so you've got both ends of the speed spectrum. This is actually a sickening combo, and we should not have let him get it for 19 points. That is underpriced. Alolan Raichu is really, really good. Delmise again. Demise? I feel like it's a play on Demise, but with a helm in it, because it's kind of like an anchor. Wheezing obviously enables Gigas. You got Cottony for Junior Whimsicott. It can do most anything that Whimsicott can do, except for it's obviously not as strong offensively. And Tailwind. It doesn't have Tailwind. Also, you're probably running Eviolite on it. which means, there are options you can't do. I think I ran light clay, light screen, Whimsicott. It doesn't even get reflect, but it does get light screen. And so I ran light clay, light screen, Whimsicott 1 week. And I believe that was a lot of fun. So, you're kind of looking right in there. Gabite. Just baby Garchomp, not particularly threatening. So then you look at my team. Whimsicott, of course, enables Arcanine, but enables the whole team. Hydreigon also gets speed up. Hitmonchan can proc weakness policy on Hydreigon if you decide to not do that, or on Arctivish, or on Abomasnow, or on Drakion. Hitmonchan also can't be flinched, can't be intimidated. And then Arctivish works really well with Abomasnow. Arctivish plus Abomasnow goes really, 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 really fast. Road Wash, Dugtrio. Road Wash is just a really good defensive piece. You need Grass to really deal with it super well. Or, of course, Wheezing does turn off Levitate and gives it a ground weakness. Dugtrio is really good, really strong Pokemon. I relied on it way too much, and so definitely if I bring Dugtrio this week, don't want to rely on it too much. Abomasnow, great. Alchemy, fun trick piece. Decorate is really good, but it also is kind of it's more of a defensive piece than anything, because it does get some good attacking moves, some good coverage. But it's, to be honest, like, its place on the team is for, like, hey, there's a Red V Draco on the other team. Let me maybe use some berries. So that's its main purpose. Doublade, I'm never going to use Doublade. And Terrakion, which is my other beat up offense option if I decide to go like Intimidate on Arcanine. One thing I've not done this year is have Arcanine and Terrakion both with Justified, where I can do either one of them. But this might be the time for it. So, obviously, Arcanine's not great into Lapras. It's not great into Carbink. And it's undersped by Regigigas, and if I decide to use Intimidate, it still doesn't matter because I can't do that without, because Wheezing turns off Intimidate. Tracheon, well, it is faster than Gigas, is really, really, really bad into Alolan Raichu because even if you Scarf Terrakion, which I've run Scarf Terrakion before, Alolan Raichu comfortably outspeeds it. Once you get electric terrain set up. So it's a really tricky thing. Probably my objective best is to run, well, I'm not going to talk about what I'm going to run because like I'm either going to say because I've already built, I'm either going to say what I am running and then like blow my position, or I'm going to just have to like BS stuff that I'm totally not running. So all I'm saying is that, weakness policy wins the cut, man. It's not that bad into this matchup. I'm pretty sure. Completely uninvested. Wheezing Sledge Bomb, one hit KOs. Dynamax Whimsicott, so I probably will not be running weakness policy Whimsicott this week. If I make further in the playoffs, though, I don't know. Anyway, but he's got a lot of really good options into me, and we'll see how that goes. So that's enough about the one matchup that I'm not even going to talk about. So I'll try and be quicker for the next ones. Okay, so number 2, River Sea Riolus against the Cali Camrups. I think this matchup is extremely interesting. I think it revolves around Trick Room and whether or not Foiled even decides to go for it, because Foiled's got some slower Pokemon that could also go in a different route. Meowstick gets Thunder Wave, so that can slow down most things on Ben's team. Hippowdon really loves Trick Room. It thrives in Trick Room. So Hippowdon Gregozolt is incredibly scary offensively. Yeah, Incineroar is great into it, but I am pretty confident that Gregozolt can one-shot it even after Intimidate, and that's assuming he doesn't run wider. But, Hustle Dracozolt is brutally strong and still outspeeds Incineroar. And then if it's not Hustle, then it's Sand Rush, and then it's outspeeding everything. Probably comfortably outspeeds Aerodactyl, though I would have to run that. I think in this, I think Vaporeon's going to be really important against the Tentacruel. Tentacruel's so good into this team. So Tentacruel is definitely really good in this matchup. Tentacruel beats Incineroar, beats Mimikyu. Doesn't have a great matchup against Lucario, but Lucario can't really hurt it either. Unless, of course, Lucario does get to +4, in which case, Ben, if you let Lucario get to +4, you will lose, and you will deserve to lose. Don't let Lucario get to +4. You got Meowstick. Meowstick, if it's offensive at all, can do something to Tentacruel, but not really, because it would be special anyway, and Tentacruel special defense is like 8 million. Tentacruel beats Aerodactyl. Tentacruel doesn't really beat Vaporeon. Vaporeon's not really scared of its poison moves, and then obviously Vaporeon absorbs the water moves. Drampa kind of walls Tentacruel, although again, because Drampa's a special attacker, doesn't do much back in return. Rotom-Mow actually kind of loses because, yes, it's got electric coverage, but Tentacruel, again, is so specially bulky. And then Sludge Bomb into it just does a lot of damage. And Tentacruel, of course, outspeeds quite comfortably. Tentacruel probably one-shots Wigglytuff. Probably one-shots Piloswine. Not sure with Eviolite. And it definitely one-shots Chandelure if it's not Sash. So Tentacruel's just amazing in this matchup. On the other hand, freaking Aerodactyl does work into this team. One shot. Assuming, let's assume dual wing beat Rock Slide and Earthquake, and then either Tailwind or Protect, right? One shots. Life Orb, maybe one shots out of Dynamax. Wait, what am I saying? Rock Slide's not going to one shot Mana Buzz. Life Orb Max Rockfall off of Rock Slide probably does. Doesn't do much to, I'll be honest. Might one shot Life Orb Max Aerodactyl might one shot Tentacruel. Definitely two shots, one shots, especially if it's Rockfall, because even if this is running Sash, you're still gonna do. Probably two shots, one shots, and one shots. So, I mean, yeah, Dynamax, Life Orb, Aerodactyl just demolishes this team. So, but of course, it doesn't outspeed. If this is Sand Rush, it does. This, unless you're like Scarf Aerodactyl, in which case you give up a lot of power and he doesn't have to be quite as afraid. Scarf Aerodactyl would, but otherwise, Dracozolt's outspeeding Aerodactyl, and I imagine this would almost have to be either Life Orb or White Herb, right? Probably Life Orb. And if he does that into Aerodactyl, Max, Lightning, into Aerodactyl, I would assume KOs. If it's -1 but with Life Orb, or if it's just at neutral. Now, I will say, I'm pretty sure Mimikyu gets Charm, so actually in that case, you might Max Guard the Aerodactyl and Charm with Mimikyu, and then I think Aerodactyl would be a lot better. But anyway, yeah, so I can see things going a lot of different ways. I think Mimikyu is absolutely essential. I think Incineroar is absolutely essential. I think Meowstick even just for the mind games, also probably has to come. So it's 1, 2, 3. I think Aerodactyl, you have to. Because Volcarona just causes so much. Volcarona is so freaking good into this team otherwise. And so yes, that's already 4, and then maybe Vaporeon, and honestly probably Wigglytuff, just for like the fun and games of it. Like I feel like that's been Foil's mascot this season. If not, then probably Piloswine. I wonder if Scarf Piloswine actually outspeeds Tentacruel. That is something. That's a possibility. On Ben's side, I'm expecting to see Rillaboom isn't really good here, which sucks, but like this is like the perfect team you would build to be anti-Rillaboom. It hits literally one thing cleanly, Vaporeon. It does do super effective damage to Piloswine, but with Eviolite, there's no way Piloswine's fainting to a single Grassy Glide. It's pretty physically bulky. And then, of course, it'll do a massive amount of damage back with Icicle Crash, and then probably enough to where Ice Shard Okos. Well, not Okos, but finishes the KO. Mandibuzz, that's Tailwind, and that's about it. It snarls, but what are you... I mean, Snarl against Drampa is not bad. It's got Foul Play, which is pretty good into the physical attackers. But yeah, Mandibuzz may be unimpressive. I think Hippowdon for sure. Hippowdon almost invalidates Foil's potential Trick Room mode. Dracozolt, I think, is really, really key. The item, the set on Dracozolt, I think, will decide the match. You also have to watch out for Max Drampa, especially if you do let Trick Room go up. Tentacruel, like I said, is so good into the team. It's really only weakened by what's it really threatened by? Aerodactyl, especially Max Aerodactyl with Earthquake, definitely threatens it. And then Rotom Mow, but the Rotom Mow is not going to get more than like one attack off of it. No, if it maxes, there's no way. There's no way, even if your life, maybe for weakness policy, life, max ooze, or Sludge Bomb, same power. Maybe. I think that's really, really crucial. Stoutland is possible bring. Volcarona is actually really, really good in this matchup. Like, Piloswine does get rock coverage, and obviously Aerodactyl can crush it. Lucario must get Rock Slide, but like, are you really gonna waste a slot for Lucario on Rock Slide? I don't know. Volcarona is not bad at all. But and then Dracloak Cavalion is also a really tempting idea. So obviously, if you bring one of them, you're going to bring the other. That's cute. You know, he doesn't have to worry about any redirection coming from Foil. Foil doesn't have any redirection. Funnily enough, Ben actually does. So he could, unless you're running like Safety Goggles Mimikyu, which would be wild, he could Rage Power if Foil brings Mimikyu Lucario. They have to be scared of Rage Power from Volcarona, which is another reason why I don't think, if I were Foil, I don't think I would bring Beat Up on Lucario, but I'm not sure. Dracloak Cavalion is definitely a mode. It's not even a mode, it's a mood. Mr. Rime, I don't think. Mr. Rime was really good into many other matchups, like the one above. Like, if I had Mr. Rime, I would 100% bring it this week because it's so good into just when you expect screens. The one thing is that I think that probably does dissuade Foils some from bringing screens. But yeah. And then, of course, Sandshrews a meme, although it evolved into the coolest Pokemon ever. All right, so that's the number 2. And if I had to say my prediction, I think the team that wins Game 3 is probably likely to win the whole set. So that will be my prediction for that. Next up, we got Skybound Thunderesses against the Erie Espers. It makes you feel good. I played actually both these teams really recently. I don't think either of them made any changes after I played them. So Glenn's team is just phenomenal. So it is the hardest Trick Room team. I think in the league, it's not even that hard, but you got Dusclops, Reuniclus, Mudsdale and Vikavolt, Beartic, and Colossal unboosted. All of these love to be in Trick Room. Tapu Bulu also loves to be in Trick Room. And then you've got Inteleon, which can proc Weakness Policy and Steam Engine on Colossal. Got Beartic has Aqua Jet. Squirtle has Aqua Jet. It's pretty powerful. You got the Genies for Prime. Landorus somehow is 13. That was not good. Bronzong, really good. So right there, that's 3 Pokemon that Darm can run like Banded Earthquake. Or, well, you wouldn't do Band, Life Orb Earthquake, and not hurt. Araquanid has just single-handedly won matchups. It's one of the reasons why it may be awkward for Glenn to try and run Trick Room. Top has Intimidate, which is really valuable a lot of the time. Not very valuable in this matchup. Pretty much the only physical attackers who don't have own tempo are Tapu Bulu and whatchamacallit, Beartic. So I don't know how useful his Gardevoir with Trace can be really funky. Oh my gosh, especially if he tries to run Surf to proc. Which he doesn't have. Prime doesn't have redirection, so Aqua Jet would be just fine to proc it. But that would be so freaking fun. I'm sorry, so freaking funny. Imagine you switch your Trace Gardevoir in, and it copies Steam Engine. The opponent uses Surf, and suddenly your Gardevoir is faster than their Colossal. That'd be hilarious. Umbreon, really good defensive tool. Yeah. And then Lopunny, which is, it's like, imagine, a Liepard, but just infinitely more disappointing in every way. I can say that because I have one. And then Unpheasant, not actually a bad Pokemon here. And Ghastly, of course, I think is a meme at this point. So I'm the Thunderouses. I'm looking at this team and I'm like, okay, I want to do big time damage regardless of whether Trick Room is up, because I don't think I can stop Trick Room. So I need to be able to work around Trick Room. There's no way. He's got essentially nothing that's going to be able to stop Dusclops, and you really can't stop, and Glenn will absolutely go for this, you can't stop the Dusclops Reuniclus lead from setting up Trick Room. He'll absolutely do double Trick Room. But because I think Araquanid is a must bring, Araquanid almost single-handedly invalidates Glenn's team. I say almost because Glenn has a couple of tools to beat it, but like what on this team likes going against Water Bug with super powered water attacks? Colossal doesn't. Although if Colossal can move first, Colossal's happy because it can get the max Vocalith. And because of that, I think actually Chardy Berry on Araquanid is pretty likely. Because, yeah, you just... can you imagine? Glenn maxes Colossal, sets off Steam Engine, launches a mammoth max Vocalith into Araquanid, and then out pops the Chardy Berry. Araquanid tanks it like a champ, and then just completely annihilates Colossal. I can imagine that. I think it would be hilarious. And also tragic. And I actually really don't know what Glenn can do against Araquanid. I do actually. I'll say that in a minute. Top, I think, has very little value in this. Gardevoir, I just don't see what the purpose is of it. I mean, it can ally switch, woohoo. Top can fake out, but like, what are you faking out? What are you trying to do? Top is able to take out Altaria easily with Triple Axle. Technician Triple Axle, not bad. And then, yeah, Lopunny. Lopunny might be fun for this one. Some Thunder Waves to get speed control in case Trick Room doesn't go up. I really think Unpheasant is going to be critical here as a... no, just kidding. I can't think of how. Unpheasant will be important. Landorus, I think, is really useful as almost like as bait, because you're never, if you're Glenn, you're never not bringing Vanillix into a Landorus matchup. And so then I think Darmanitan becomes really, really, really strong for Prime. So if I'm Prime, I'm bringing Thundurus. The real question is Prankster or Defiant. And you look at who's likely to max over here, none of them are really going to decrease your stats, other than maybe like a Vikavolt going for max bug, but why would he ever use max bug into this team? So I don't think Defiant is likely to get procced, which means he's able to use, he can still be physical because he's not going into Intimidate, but either physical or special. But I think Prankster Thunder. And so then you got things like Scary Face, you can self-scary face, your own Arachnid, and other speed things. So Prime's got a really, really, really solid match. I would take Thundurus, Darmanitan, Arachnid, then I mean Lopunny's got like Helping Hand and stuff. It's not bad per se. Maybe Hitmontop, but I mean that's going to be the dream 3 that I think are going to really, really, really be hard to beat. I would say if you are going to bring Longnail, I would bring Levitate into a Mudsdale. Yeah, it's weaker into Colossal, but like, you know, my thing is always, if I heat proof, I times the damage by 1/2. If I levitate, I times the damage by 0. So that's my philosophy. And Gardevoir isn't bad. It, you could do Life Orb or something, or like taunt on Umbreon, because obviously Dusclops isn't gonna run Mental Herb. So like a taunt Umbreon with Snarl. Snarl would be so good in this team. So yeah, maybe like a defensive piece there. Wait, if you're Glenn, so how the are you going to beat Arachnid? And there's a couple of possibilities, of course. Vanillix gets Freeze Dry. Altaria gets, I don't know, I assume it gets some flying attack. And other than that, and then Colossal gets Vocalith, but if he's running Chartiberry, which I think is the most likely item, that's really difficult. So, I mean, there's not a great answer. I mean, like Tapu Bulu, but Tapu Bulu gets annihilated by most of the rest of the team. It's a really hard matchup. If I'm Glenn, I'm focusing on setting up Trick Room and then things that can underspeed Arachnid even Arachnid in Trick Room. Because while Arachnid is slow, I mean, it isn't that slow. You can underspeed it, definitely. And then once you figure out what kind of Arachnid it is, you can kind of work around it. Colossal can set up Sun, even though it's weak. That can be something. This is a really, really good team. By Glenn, I'm not discounting it at all. Just, these are some challenges that he's going to have to face. Ally Switch is probably going to be a core part of his strategy, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. If I were him, I'm bringing Dusclops to set Trick Room and to try and mess with the Arachnid, using maybe an Ally Switch. You don't really want to Pain Split it because its HP is so low, but you can use. You can't really Will-O-Wisp it, of course, because the ability prevents that. But yeah, so what does he even do? Sets Trick Room and dies and uses Nightshade over and over again. You could use Dusclops to maybe proc a policy on one of your own dudes. I know it gets Brick Break or Rock Tomb. Oh my gosh, imagine Dusclops Vanillix, and you set Trick Room and maybe Aurora Veil turn 1, and then if Vanillix survive, or you just Ice Move, and then the next turn you Rock Tomb into the Vanillix to slow it down and proc a weakness policy. That actually could be really cool. And of course, if Vanillix maxes, it doesn't have Freeze Dry. So I don't know. Interesting. I would definitely run Mudsdale. I think it's great into everything besides Araquanid. I don't think I'd run like Pasha Berry. I don't think it's worth it because Araquanid honestly is probably taking you out even through the berry with a Max Geyser, especially if it's in rain. I think Reuniclus. I think Dusclops, Mudsdale, Colossal, Reuniclus, Icavolt, Vanillix probably is my core 6. All right. Last but not least, where's the standings? I know what these two teams are, but the Boston Celebes and the Philadelphia Scolopeds. So Boston Celebes did beat me. Did they beat me because Rockslide missed? Yes, but I mean, 10% chances happen like probably 1 out of every 10 times or something like that. So, Cinderace, what Cinderace do they have? I think it's Gmax, yeah. And Gmax, Gmax Urshifu Rapid. Okay. So, yeah, so this is a rain team. And rain teams plus Registeel are really hard to beat. Makes Registeel weak to only fighting and ground. And this team has ways of dealing with fighting quite easily. And ground, it has Lilligant, which I think is pretty much just there for Sun, like in case someone tries to set the Sun against him. Which Cinderace can't do, by the way, because it's not, it's just normal Cinderace. Or it's not normal Cinderace. So, I think Elekid, Jigglypuff, probably not coming, to be honest. But Raichu, with Galarian Moltres, you can just proc your own weakness policy and go, 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 go. Politoed, of course, has Perish Song stuff, but it also sets up Urshifu. You could have like a Banded or a Scarfed Urshifu. And just, you get an extra choice band for free, basically. So actually, if it is banded in the rain that Politoed sets, and then you've got like your Moltres or whatever in the back, or your Cinderace as a Dynax threat, that's actually a very good, well-rounded team. The Scolopes, when I played them, so I played the Celebes and again lost pretty narrowly. It was a fair fight. I probably win. If we played 100 times, I'd probably win about 50 of them. But this team, the Scolopes, I don't recognize because I beat them in what was honestly a much weaker composition. Now they've got like now Apple has upgraded his team considerably. Got Bolton to punish Intimidates. Got Latios. It's just a really strong offensive option. Pheromosa. I'm thinking of Wingardium Leviosa. So maybe we'll have Air Balloon Pheromosa. Unlikely. Pheromosa is really, really good. I know this probably surprises literally no one, but Pheromosa is really good. Liepard is also really good. Just sets up some stuff. Rhyperior, you've got to assume that it's going to be Lightning Rod, unless he's trying to do Electrify shenanigans with Bolton, because, fun true story, Lightning Rod catches Electrify. So your Electrify will be of no avail. Bolton also could be like a Scarf Discharge thing, even if Rhyperior is Solid Rock. You got some Trick Room friendly Pokemon here, but unless Trevenant gets Trick Room, which I think the only Pokemon that can actually set it is Mr. Mime G, which is totally possible. That's totally a thing. But Liepard is going to be really threatening as far as supporting Mr. Mime if it comes to it. I just don't. I mean, yeah, like, as long as he correctly picks who Max is actually, real talk, but like, Eviolite, Mr. Mime, G, and Liepard, it can absolutely fake out one of them. Mr. Mime's not feigning to a single attack. Other than a max whatever it is from Cinderace. Maybe an unboosted Max Darkness from Moltres, but I don't know. With the right amount of bulk, like I don't think anything other than the Max Fire from Cinderace is gonna one-shot Mr. Mime. So he would actually be able to set up Trick Room, and then Trevenant's great in that. Rhyperior's great in that. And Crawdon's great in it. Latios, I'm sure, also gets Trick Room, by the way, which is a little weird, but it's a thing. Latios is really good into the team, by the way. Moltres and Cinderace threaten with Stab Darkness, but that's it. No fairies. So if I'm Apple, I am. Yeah, Apple's team is it's just got a lot of good stuff, and it's got Togepi to kind of hold it together. But if I'm Apple, I think I'm going Trick Room in this game, and I'm going to run for my 2 fast Pokemon. I'm probably running. I wonder if Sunny Day Entei makes sense here. Like, can you imagine Scarfs? No, you wouldn't even need to be Scarf. Sorry, because Pheromosa. So Pheromosa with webs, with Electro Web, slows down Urshifu enough and does super effective damage. And then Entei can set up Sunny Day and cut the damage of Urshifu by 67%. And then what if it's Rocky Helmet Entei? Oh, that'd be hilarious. So that's probably what I'm doing for my fast moves. I'd have Pheromosa Entei. And then I would honestly probably have Lightbard and Mr. Mime, and Mr. Mime be my Trick Room setter. Also gets Fake Out. Gets Ally Switch, of course. Gets a bunch of helpful moves. Helping Hand. Then you got Rhyperior. I think it probably gets Ice Shard as well, and so that could proc Rhyperior's policy. It's nice to be able to proc Rhyperior's policy, by the way, without doing quad damage. It's nice to only deal double damage to do that. And then, like, Trevi also could have its policy be procced, or even proc a policy. Yeah, that might be what I would do. Probably Sunny Day on Entei, Wets, Electroweb, Pheromosa, Sash, of course. And then I'd have Rhyperior in the back with Trevenant, my Mr. Mime, and Lightbard. Is Trevenant really that good in this? Never mind. I don't think Trevenant's really that good, because he's going to have a lot of dark options. What about Iron Ball Latios? Definitely a possibility. So, or Crawdaunt. Crawdaunt's not bad into this. It just really sucks against Raichu. But if he is right, like Erod on Rhyperior, then Crawdaunt actually has very, very, very little to fear from the Celebi's team. It's just kind of afraid of Cinderace and Urshifu using their fighting type attacks. But yeah, that's my 6. And if I'm the Celebes, I am running Raichu, Urshifu, Moltres, for sure. I might run. Oh yeah. Oh. So how about this? Turn 1, you lead Moltres, Raichu, right? And if you're going into a lead that you think might actually be like them trying to set up Trick Room, you can Fake Out with Raichu and Nasty Plot with Moltres. And then the next turn, you're in really good shape. So Fake Out also goes before Follow Me. You can't Follow Me a Fake Out, so I think that's really good. I think Physical Raichu, Nasty Plot, Moltres, or even Specs with just Fiery Wrath and like Hurricane and I don't know. I'm sure it gets some other cool moves. Urshifu. I don't know how you don't run Bandit in this matchup because you're not really scared. There's nothing on Apple's team except for Latios that you would ever expect to one shot this. Oh, I guess Bolton in the right circumstance, but like, so I don't know why you wouldn't Bandit. And Bandit Urshifu is just gonna hit like a freaking truck, in or out of rain. I think you do bring Politoed just to scare the other guy. I don't know how good Meowstic is. Meowstic female is in this matchup because it's not going to get procced by anything. I think you probably have those four. You have Cinderace, and then this is not going to be, for me, this is not a Registeel game because Apple's team is not passive. Apple's team will build up. There's something on his team is getting weakness policy, and it's going crazy on it. Like this is not the game for Registeel to pull up some iron defenses and try and body press its way to victory. I mean, you need another attack anyway because Trevenant's probably coming and it's immune. Maybe Ditto as the last one since, you're in that difficult situation. Quick Claw sort of makes sense on Ditto. Choice Scarf is not a bad choice. But yeah. I'll be working probably. Scarf Ditto, Life Orb Cinderace, with Sucker Punch, Fire Move. I don't even know what my third move would be. Maybe U-Turn. U-Turn's not bad. U-Turn actually hits 4 of these Pokemon for super effective damage. And Protect. You do need something that has steel damage, though, so you probably need a Steel or Poison. So you probably maybe like imagine Steel Wing, Galarian Moltres, or Urshifu if it's Choice Banded. No, honestly, Choice Banded, like Surging Strikes in the rain, is going to be stronger than Iron Head, even into Togepi, and probably by a lot. So, anyway, that is my analysis. So I would have Cinderace, Ditto. So my 6s that I would bring into the other 3 matchups, I would bring Moltres, Raichu, Urshifu, Politoed, Cinderace, Ditto. I would bring Liepard, Rhyperior, Trevenant, Entei, Mr. Mime G, and Pheromosa. I would bring Incineroar, Mimikyu, Aerodactyl, Meowstic, Vaporeon, Piloswine. I would bring Hippowdon, Dracozolt, Tentacruel, Volcarona, Cobalion. I would bring Thundurus, Landorus, Darmanitan, Araquanid, Umbreon, and Bronzong. Dusclops, Colossal, Mudsdale, Reuniclus, Vikavolt, Vanillix. I think that's it. And then for these, definitely, wouldn't it be cool if you challenge someone to win using only their lowest Pokemon? Like Doublade, Dugtrio, Arcadish, Hitmonchan, Abomasnow, and Alchemy? That doesn't seem like really all that bad of a team. Like, I could use that team. Especially if I was going up against Gabite, Cottony, Pincurchin, Carbink, Riolu, and Alolan Raichu. Wait, no, then I'm going against Pincurchin and Alolan Raichu. Why are those pokes so cheap? Anyway, this has been a very long video. I hope you have a wonderful day. God bless. Happy New Year.